The mad scientists of EcomCrew have been hard at work putting together myecomcrew.com, a library of free resources for you guys to enjoy with many courses, tips, and other guides. Go to myecomcrew.com to sign up today. We've been working hard behind the scenes, added a bunch of new stuff this week. You definitely want to go check that out at myecomcrew.com. Again, it's a free resource, no credit card required, no other gimmicks. Just go to myecomcrew.com to sign up today. We'll see you on the inside. This is Mike, and welcome to episode number 130 of the EcomCrew podcast. You can go to ecomcrew.com/130 to get to the show notes for this episode. And for today, we're back with part 2 of our Under the Hood with Matt. I hope you guys enjoy this part 2. I always think the second part of these is more interesting than the first. The first is kind of a get to know you, feeling out period. The second half hour is always jam-packed with tons of actionable advice. And I hope you guys get as much out of this as I did interviewing Matt. Stay tuned for the interview on the other side of this break.
Welcome to the EcomCrew podcast, hosted by Mike Jackness and Dave Bryant, who together run e-commerce businesses that generate 8 figures annually. Mike and Dave take pride in running a podcast that isn't just fluff, talking about specific products, problems, and real-world solutions. In the words of one of our favorite reviews, this podcast is like a playbook for e-commerce. You can take any episode and spend the next month trying to implement it. So without further ado, here's the EcomCrew.
Having something unique there, I think, is going to be an awesome proposition for you, and it's just the buyers are already there. So from a work aspect to reward ratio for you, it just seems like a slam dunk.
And so a lot of most of our sales actually on the website do come from return customers, people buying, and most of those are buying them customized. So, we have a laser engraver, we customize for, whether it's for somebody's wedding or whatever it might be. Does that fit in? I'm just curious, does that fit in on Amazon customization wise, or is that more, is it a platform that they do allow that kind of thing, or is it even worth looking into?
Yeah, it's absolutely worth looking into. They have a thing called Amazon Custom now, where you can do the same thing that I'm seeing on your website here with the customization artwork. And I think it's important to, if that is an aspect that's causing a lot of sales or getting a lot of repeat business, that's another hit on the photography angle of your website, because you don't show that at all. What are some examples of some of the customized products look like? I think is really important to convey, and it makes a lot of sense that you are getting a lot of repeat business for something like this, because I can just tell it's a cool ass product and it's so unique. One of the other things you could work on that might be some low-hanging fruit for you is some email marketing campaigns. Something like Klaviyo is actually relatively cheap when you have a small list. So you can set some of these basic email campaigns up for win-back sequences, bought this but haven't bought that, or they've bought something but remind them around the gift times of the year, get one of these for your friend, customize this for your friend. I think you could definitely do a lot with things like that. Again, it's just a matter of work to reward kind of ratio. So, at the number of sales you've had, is it worth putting all the effort into setting all those things up? I actually think it is, because I know exactly how to do it step by step. I know for me to set those things up would be 1 or 2 days worth of work, like a full-time day worth of work, just to set up the 5 basic email campaigns that would probably drive a ton of traffic for you. So I definitely think it would be worth it for you to do it.
And we do. And we do have Klaviyo, and I do a fairly decent job of we have win-back campaigns and, cross-sell and that kind of thing. I think one area that I have found that's difficult, and I haven't figured out the best way to attack it, is, getting people, first off, getting them to our website, right? But secondly, how to get them to sign up for our newsletter so that we can, gradually move them through the sales process.
Yeah, getting people to sign up for a newsletter for a thing like this is definitely going to be a little bit tougher. There was a pop-up that came up when I first came to the site, but I closed it, so I forgot what it said now. Typically, it's, get a 10% discount or 5% discount, whatever, signing up for our newsletter. You could do a few other things with something like this, some design ideas I think would be really cool, grab Angle 33's 10 design ideas for the home or whatever, and put together some type of PDF that people that are into this type of stuff would be really interested in. You can sit down and brainstorm some other ideas that definitely could work for sure. Because, if you're already got an email marketing mindset, which I think is awesome because it's so important. We're sitting at 56% revenue right now from email marketing, which is a little bit higher than normal just because it is the holidays and email is more effective than it even normally is. But we're typically somewhere between 45 and 50% of our revenue comes from email. So, and I'm not surprised that it works well for something like this because you have more than one product. I mean, you have other products as well besides just a wine holder. There's a beer holder here. There's some tiles. There's some planters and stuff. I mean, so if people like this style, I think it does make sense that they would go back and buy more. So I think it's great that you're already doing the Klaviyo stuff. You said you're already doing win-back campaigns. You said, what are some of the other ones you're doing?
So we have win-back campaign. We have our VIP customers. We have the active profile list. So people that are engaged consistently, they're on a different flow. Certainly have abandoned cart and browse abandonment. Let me think if there's any others. And then I think we have an 8-step, or we do have an 8-step thank you when people do sign up for the newsletter. There's an 8-step that I believe goes 120 days, just kind of introduction to us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think those are all great. I mean, I would probably shorten that introductory sequence. 120 days for 8 emails is that's less than one per week. So I think you can probably email them at least once per week or maybe even twice per week and just kind of compress that a little bit to just get them used to hearing from you. One of the ones that does really well for us is bought this and hasn't bought that. So I mean, if there's a correlation to people buying the wine holder to the beer chiller, you might want to do something like that where they bought the wine one and 15 days later they get an email about the beer one, and or synchronizing that up to a Facebook custom audience and running a Facebook ad for the beer chiller version. That in particular does incredibly well for us. I mean, that's definitely worth the time. Those bought this but haven't bought that is literally our best selling or best performing ads, like period, like without, like that's nothing even close to that. So if there's things that people, because they bought one of your products, they have an affinity or of buying another, I would definitely implement that stuff. That should work really well for you.
And are those you're talking to those are kind of the dynamic ads that go out at the same time the email campaign does?
Yes, I mean you can do it in conjunction for sure. So like if someone does, like to walk through an example, what you could do is you set up a segment of people who have purchased a wine chiller or a wine ice bucket version or whatever you want to call it. We'll call it a wine chiller just to keep the name the same. So they buy a wine chiller. You make a segment of those people. And you say, like, I want a segment of people that have bought a wine chiller but have not bought a beer chiller. So now you have people that did purchase a wine chiller but haven't purchased the beer chiller in a segment. And then you could start a flow off of that, let's say 15 or 30 days after they purchased the wine chiller, and send them an email about the beer chiller version. But at the same time, you can synchronize that segment under the settings for the segment. You can synchronize that to Facebook and make a custom audience. And as long as you have more than, I think it's 20 people, it's a very small number. As long as you have at least 20 people in the custom audience, you can then run an ad to those people. So you can either do it like literally in conjunction where they get the email and then the ad's also going out at the same time, or you could stagger it somehow, whatever you want. But typically the ad will run much longer. Like I'll run the ad for 30, 60, 90, even 120 days because it's just such a high value audience. And some of them we even do it for 6 months. But the email you're only going to send once or twice. So you have like 1 or 2 times to hit them with the email. And if they don't open it, you have a much better chance of getting them on Facebook.
And you said your ROI for those types of ads on Facebook are very good for you?
Every one of those bought this but haven't bought this, all of them are over 20x ROI. Some of them are as high as 30. So the one that performs the best has bought gel pens or pencils but not markers is the one that does the absolute best for us, as an example.
And with the Facebook ads, do you kind of have a way to, or ideas on how to make some front end, getting some money back on the front end and not just getting yourself caught up doing ads that aren't necessarily getting the return, or initially, but just starting out with them? Do you feel like you kind of have to suck it up a little bit and spend some money to make some money?
Yeah, I mean, so if you want to start with just the ads that are going to be like guaranteed successful, it would be like this: bought this but haven't bought that. Like it's like I'm not even sure how you can fail at that anymore, because I've both in our own businesses and other people I've talked about this. It's been successful across the board because it's just such a slam dunk. Now, if advertising the cold traffic, you're going to have to like lose money before you make money. It takes some time to perfect the traffic's getting more expensive. So, it's not like it was once upon a time where it's so ridiculously cheap that you can make money like in spite of yourself kind of thing. You gotta definitely get your audience and your ad perfected. And, I don't really know exactly what I would start first with, in terms of who I would advertise to, but I would say, people that like wine, maybe like wine, own a home, like wine, and maybe have a certain education level, like wine, and have a certain income level, I think would probably do well. There's probably other things that I'm ignorant to, like they like wine and they also like a particular designer or something, or maybe there's like an artist, or you'll know way better than I do in this case, but I'm sure that you know enough about your customers to understand that maybe they go on vacation a lot, or maybe they like wineries, or whatever it is. There's probably some correlation there that makes a lot of sense. And once you kind of figure those out, it can be pretty lucrative if you have the right ad. And you're definitely going to need a video ad for this type of thing. Like just doing it in a picture is not going to do it. You would need something that this product's like in the home, and you're showing people just like how cool this thing looks on their counter versus the old ice bucket. And maybe it's, even something as profound as like the old ice bucket's on the counter, and you like throw a temper tantrum and throw it off the counter and replace it or something. So it's like almost got like a humorous aspect to it. And then you're like, you kind of like go from sad to happy or whatever. It's like these late night infomercial type things or whatever. But I could definitely see the right ad appealing to the right audience. And it's just a matter of the thing that I don't know is like, how big is that audience? It might be one of these things where there isn't millions of people that fit into that bucket, or maybe there are, and that's what you kind of need to figure out. But with the margins you're talking about, and if you're truly, selling this thing for 70 and your cost of it on this thing's like 7, plus then you got to pay for shipping or whatever. I mean, those are awesome margins, and that affords you the opportunity to be a little bit frivolous in your ad spend, which is great. Because if you can be frivolous in your ad spend and pay, let's say $30 for a conversion or $40 for a conversion, it's hard not to get conversions when you start talking about those kind of numbers. So I think it's definitely possible for you.
Yeah, and I think the main thing with we have run some ads and we've had some success obviously with just general ones. But what I was looking at more is it seems to me like it makes a lot of sense to use whatever people that have purchased in the past and run those exact audiences through Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the bought this, haven't bought that. The win back sequence, it's another one that we do. I mean, all those types of emails that you're doing that work well. What I would do, like the way that I would approach that as far as like how do you get your head around it, look at the open rates on those emails you're sending out. They're probably somewhere between like 10 and 35% open rates, depending on like how good you're doing getting those emails read. So, I mean, that's 65 to 90% that don't open the email, and those people are on Facebook. And it's easier to find them and target them on Facebook a lot of times than it is to get them to open an email in today's day and age where emails are getting harder and harder to get opened, and people are spending more and more time on Facebook.
Do you have much experience with Instagram ads at all?
We do. We haven't had a lot of success with them, just because I think that we were just actually talking about this earlier today. It's kind of funny you mention it. For color, it's specifically, it's an older demographic that's buying, like 45 plus, and it's really. Our bread and butter is 65 plus, and a lot of those people aren't on Instagram. Where we're excited and seen some early results is with Wild Baby. With our baby brand, you got young parents that and that type of stuff does really well on there. So, I mean, the good news is that it's easy to test because it's the same platform as Facebook ads. So, just the thing that we do, and that I would highly recommend that you do as well, is whatever ads you run for Instagram, just run them as separate ads. Don't try to check the box that like I want this ad to run on Instagram, Facebook newsfeed, mobile newsfeed. That's a mistake because the Instagram ad is a different size, and you also want to be able to track performance separately. So the Instagram ad is going to be square. You got some restrictions on video. It can't be more than 59 seconds, things like that. So whenever we do run Instagram ads, we run them as a completely separate campaign.
Actually, I have another question for you on ways to leverage our B2B sales to create more B2C.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is throwing an insert in the box for like as a coupon off of a future order. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. Just making sure that your website and other contact information is on the packaging, I think is important. Maybe even on the bottom of the product. Again, without being able to see the bottom of the product, it's hard to know what's in there. But having your name and phone number, your company name and like a phone number, contact info, like where it's made in Montana, Angle 33 made in Montana, whatever it might be, just like stamped in the bottom of it, so people that have thrown away the box or that insert card, or they're at someone else's house and they're like, man, I really like that, and they look at the bottom of it, your info's there. Mm-hmm. I think all those are the first thing that come to mind as far as like converting people from a B2C to B2B or B2B to B2C angle. Because I mean, basically what you're looking at is you got someone's at a winery, they've had a few things to drink, they see this like in their like little shop, they buy it, take it home. Now what? And this way, because they're probably not going to go back to the winery. Most times the people at a winery, they're not right near their house, unless you're lucky enough to be us and there's a winery right near our house. So you want to be able to convert them down the road. And I think those are some good ways to do it.
Do you have any thoughts on, I had been thinking about putting a way to share. So when you open the box and you got your thermal and on the top there's foam that's protecting it, putting a sticker or, like you said, kind of a coupon in there that tells people how to, if they take a picture and share it on Instagram or Facebook, that then they'll receive a coupon code or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love that idea. Yeah, I mean, I think that we're lucky with what we do that we get a lot of social proof, a lot of content like that. But yeah, certainly having that right on the top, like take a picture of this in your home and get $10 off your next Angle 33 purchase or whatever, with instructions just like email support at Angle 33 or social media at Angle 33, whatever email address you set to it, and making it easy for people to know what hashtag to tag and how to do that to get a quick coupon, I think is a really great idea.
Because we've certainly had troubles. We do send out a product review email once somebody has purchased, and I don't know if I'm wording it incorrectly or what we're doing, but we don't get as many people coming back to write a review as obviously we'd like.
Yeah, I mean, so 10% is about like the best you're ever going to do in like a home run world. 5% is probably more realistic. So I mean, unless you're like below 5%, you're probably not really doing anything wrong. Okay. If you are below 5%, then I would definitely start looking at it looked like you were using Yotpo, I thought, when I was like on one of the pages. They're pretty good at like delivering and getting reviews. So I'm surprised that I'd be very surprised if you're below that. And I don't know, like, do you have a sense of like where you fall as a percentage basis, or would you have to go look that up?
I would have to look it up. Yeah, so I don't know. And again, I think some of the things we've set up in Klaviyo are fairly recent. So we're just gradually doing things as I have time and trying to make this work. But I think I'd need 6 months or so to actually see what our percentages are on that. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess with Yotpo, I mean, the email comes directly from Yotpo. This isn't a Klaviyo email, the review request email. So just make sure that those are on and being sent out, and make sure that you're asking for a follow-up, like you do a follow-up review request. So like if someone doesn't leave a review, a second email goes out X number of days later, just to increase your chances of that happening. But yeah, if you're using Yotpo, I mean, as much as I think that they're way overpriced, we've switched over to Stamp.io. Just because they're significantly cheaper you get like more for less money. That's always a good spot to be in. But like, I mean, if you're on a legacy, like either free or cheap Yotpo plan, I would just stick with it.
And they do get a Klaviyo email also with that's dynamic, so it shows them the product that they did purchase.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely good. Like having as many follow-up sequences about that as possible is good, and bribing them is good as well. I mean, Yotpo has that as a part of their interface. I mean, we used to and still do that with Stamped. If they leave a review, they get 10% off their next order.
And with percentages, where do you sit on? What's your view on how often and people get percent discounts, and where do you ideally use those?
Yep. So, I mean, in 2017, like, it was a big initiative for us to offer way less discounts than we did in 2016. I think we definitely accomplished that. For instance, like in our abandoned cart sequence, we used to immediately hand out a 10% coupon, like if they didn't convert, they would get an email like an hour later. Please come back, get 10% off. So we've made it just much more difficult to get any type of discount like that. We reserve them for very specific things. Abandoned cart is definitely one of them, but we wait now until like I think 3 days later before we give them a discount. And then we do have like a bigger discount even a few days past that, because like if they haven't converted still, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just the price sensitivity thing, and we'll give it a try. So that definitely saved us a ton of money last year. We have the win-back sequences, so it's a 10, 15, and then 20% discount on the win-back ladder. And we have, as a part of like a lot of our free downloads and things that we do when we like get people on a lead magnet list, eventually at some point we'll offer them a discount. But for the most part, we're trying not to discount. Like we don't want money to be the only driver of someone buying. But we also realize that some people are just price sensitive, or they're looking for a deal, or they're just not willing to buy without a coupon, whatever it is. And so at some point we give those people an opportunity to buy with that coupon. But we also are focusing on all the people that are willing to buy without a coupon, which is a much larger percentage of people than you think.
Mm-hmm. And its price point, what I'd be curious what your thoughts are on price point of some of our stuff. Just
I think it seems fair. I mean, like I definitely didn't have like a complete sticker shock when I saw it at $70. I mean, it's definitely more expensive than everything else out there, but it's also unique and handmade and etc. You got to be careful. Obviously, like you're a brand, so it's not easy to just start moving prices like around arbitrarily. What we do on Amazon, where it's easy to monitor this stuff, is use a tool called Splitly, and within that they have a thing called Profit Peak. And Profit Peak like will change the price of the item multiple times per day, move it up and down based on a bunch of different criteria, and eventually it'll spit back at you what your ideal price is. So it'll tell you like your ideal price is $54.99, whatever it might be, and then you can change it to that if you were so inclined. But what we've found overall is if we raise the price on things, our sales either go up or stay the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like raising prices could be a good thing. I'm not. I feel like where you're at is probably pushing the high end of what someone's willing to pay for a wine chiller. So I mean, I'm not sure that I would just go change yours to $99.99 tomorrow just because I said that. I do think that at a certain point, you're going to definitely see things kind of fall off of a cliff. There's definitely been some products that we've done that with, where you start raising the price and the sales just kind of evaporated. But it's good to know like where that boundary is. I mean, would you rather sell 5 a day at $99.99 or 10 a day at $69.99 a day? I mean, obviously you'd rather sell 5 if you're just focusing on profit. It just also depends on your objectives in your own business. I mean, sometimes you're mostly interested in sales and casting a wider net and getting your product in more people's hands, and you're willing to do that at less margin. It depends on your goals in business and in life.
Well, and our with having wholesale, we obviously had to. I mean, our price is driven by our wholesale price. Obviously, we can't be selling ours for X and we're selling it to a wholesaler that has to turn around and sell it for $15 more than we sell it for.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you offer your wholesalers keystone pricing then on your retail that you have it on your website at?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you're at a good spot. I mean, because they're probably selling it at your retail price. I mean, they're not going to want to make less than the 50% margin. So, I don't know. I didn't have a like that's too expensive like gut reaction when I looked at it. So I actually feel like you're pretty close to an ideal price. And if you have a wholesale relationship, I would just kind of leave it alone.
Yeah, and I was curious on the business. I guess part of the leveraging for B2B. Obviously these people see it in a restaurant and we get orders, and that is predominantly what we're getting our traffic from, is people seeing it at a winery. I think we have 100 wineries or something that use them, and so that is predominantly where we get our business. But with that being said, I feel like e-commerce we can do that same type of volume on e-commerce with possibly less work over the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that. I mean, if you look at how many you're selling on wholesale, like your B2C should be at least the same size, if not bigger, than your B2B. Like just considering your footprint, like where you're at. You're just in, some wineries or whatever. You're not in like big retail box stores or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that you have like room to move there. Some of the things that we've talked about. The one that I had on my list here, I'm going to throw out. I guess it's a good time is Google Shopping. I think that's another opportunity for you. I'm not sure if you're in that program or not.
No, I don't know much about it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just basically the equivalent of Amazon's sponsored product ads. It's basically the same thing on Google. If someone types in wine chiller bucket on, like if I was to go to Google right now, we can kind of do one of these exercises, google.com, and I'll type in wine chiller bucket. What I'm going to see at the top of the results here, in this case, they're showing up on the right-hand side for me, but it says like shop wine chiller buckets on Google, and there's 9 results here of different wine chiller buckets, and they're ranging from, looks like $21.99 is the cheapest, $19.99 is the cheapest. The most expensive one they're showing here is $229. It's like the ultimate beverage tub or whatever. There's an electronic one, but I think your product would do well here as well. Sponsored product ads are almost always a winner for us. So I would definitely look into this. But yeah, I think that there's some again, low-hanging fruit kind of stuff to get people to your website, whether it's influencer marketing or these types of Google sponsored product ads, some win-back campaigns with Facebook or just cold traffic from Facebook. There's definitely a lot of leeway there. And if you're, again, with the margins you're at, if you're happy selling this thing at $32.50 or whatever at wholesale, you're giving up $32.50 of margin. I would look at that as your wiggle room for what you'd be willing to spend to acquire a customer at B2C on Facebook ads. And I would venture to guess that you could do that here because it's if you're trying to convert traffic at $5 to $10, which is the range that we're in, because we just have a lower margin product and a lower price point product, it's a lot more difficult than someone who has the types of margin that you have and that's a higher price point. If you can spend $30, $35 to acquire a customer through Facebook ads, that's still very doable in this market.
And Google Shopping is fairly simple platform to.
Yeah, and that's definitely another like low-hanging fruit thing for you because you're only paying per click for people that are actually making a search of like wine chiller bucket or whatever your product's going to show up for in Google Shopping, and you want to be in front of them and get those eyeballs like when they're doing that search. And before I entered in any of those programs, I would definitely work on the photography on the website first. That would be my number one objective. This seems to be a common theme with these under the hood segments, just amping up photography and really conveying what your product's all about to the buyer, whether it's on your own channel or Amazon or whatever. It's online, and this is the only way that you get to really communicate with your customers.
And I'm just taking a guess. I haven't been on Amazon, but I'm assuming when you go onto Amazon, you really need to put your best foot forward right off the bat. You don't want to go in there kind of half ready.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would listen to our Amazon product launch strategy episode that we did recently. It was like a whole 30-minute diatribe of how to kind of launch a product on Amazon in 2018. But yes, I mean, absolutely, you want to try to kind of hit with a bang the best that you can, and which is going to basically just making sure you do the right keyword research, the right product research with your competitors, getting a good title tag assembled that kind of conveys all those things. Really good photography is definitely really important. Making sure that you get entered into brand registry and you can do enhanced brand content, launching PPC, getting in the early reviewer program, and then emailing your list and telling people like we're now on Amazon, like go buy this over there. Maybe you make a coupon for them to incentivize them to do that, and dripping that out over a couple week period of time, so you're not getting a huge spike, but like more of a sustained sales volume. And yeah, I mean, you could, with what you have already here, because you already have some off Amazon traffic, which is incredibly valuable to launching stuff on Amazon, I think that you could definitely make a dent into this segment.
And the reviews on Amazon, just out of curiosity, I don't spend much time on Amazon, but and that's something, would you say people more often do write reviews on Amazon than a website?
No, and in fact, that's getting more and more difficult to get the reviews. It's like a pretty frustrating part of selling on Amazon. They used to be able to like email your customer a couple of times and ask them for a review. Now it's kind of gotten pretty strict. You can use a program like Feedback Genius, and we only email them once. Amazon blocks a lot of the reviews from even getting through now because people can opt out or have to opt in, I think, even to receive communication from third-party sellers. So a lot of the emails basically bounce, but you can still get reviews. And if you have a product that people really like, the chances are that they'll leave a review more than just some run-of-the-mill metal bucket. So I definitely think that you're in good shape there. I really think that that you have a good product here and that you can make a good dent into the Amazon sales game.
Sorry, I'm just making sure I'm looking over my notes.
No problem.
Well, actually, one other, just kind of maybe off topic a little bit is, do you ever, with any of your companies, have you ever dealt with corporate gifting type of items?
I haven't. No, that's not something I have any experience with at all.
Well, yeah, thanks a ton, Mike. I think that covers a lot of the things I was curious about. And
cool. Well, I'm definitely glad it was helpful. And as I've been telling everybody else, definitely follow up and let's catch up in a few months. Let us know how you've been able to progress and how much difference it's made in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting stuff on Amazon. I've kind of always been a little bit curious anyway.
I mean, it's one of those like, what do you have to lose kind of things. And I would just start with your best-selling product. I would just do it with literally one product. Just do your best-selling product. Put all your effort into doing it right instead of just trying to throw everything up there and seeing what sticks, because I do think it is important to launch with a bang, like you were mentioning. So just put a decent amount of effort into the photography and into the listing and making sure that it's done properly. When you create the listing, put a sales date, a start selling date in the future. Like, let's just say you start doing it today, like put that date on as January 31st as a for instance, so it doesn't start the clock for you on Amazon until after you're ready to start selling. You can back that date down later. And and then just see what happens. And I do feel like that's, at least if you're looking at the wine chiller product, I didn't look at all the other ones, but I kind of gave you the numbers for the Amazon one, and I think that there's definitely some room there for you.
As far as that goes too, do you feel like so we have 12 color options, but to be honest, we have two. That's we have the dark gray and the standard concrete gray. Those are hands down by far and away our biggest sellers. Is there a point where you can have too many options that can deter people from placing orders?
I don't think that it deters them as much as it spreads out your power, if you want to call it that, on Amazon. So if you have two items, let's just say it's a black and a white, and they both get an equal number of sales. Let's just say you're doing like 100 a month, you're doing 50 and 50. Those two variations are only going to show 50 sales each instead of getting one product that has 100. And if you had one product that was doing 100, you're going to be in a much better spot on Amazon. So a lot of things that we've had that had these color variations, we removed all the variations except for one and just started selling our most popular color only. And if they didn't like it, like, too bad. In your case, I'm not sure that I would go to that extreme, but I would definitely take that as a lesson in don't put up all 12 colors.
Maybe even just start with three. That I think the biggest thing for most people with color is if they're buying it for a present for someone else, there's only a few colors they know will match anybody's decor.
Yeah, you want those kind of like agnostic colors or whatever that fit in on anything. And yeah, I think 3 is actually a really good number. As you kind of get into selling on Amazon and you get yourself brand registered, approved and everything, and you can run headline search ads, like having 3 variations allows you to run those ads, which are actually do very well. They convert very well. And so 3 is actually a really good number to be at.
And as far as sizing too, we have 3 different sizes. Champagne's our least selling. It's just big and bulky, and the Pinot size actually fits most champagne bottles. I guess kind of the same idea there. Just keep it, or do we want to just have one size that's available?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with one size, your best-selling size. The way that I would set it up, because what you can do is you can set up one listing. Let's just say you have 3 sizes with 3 colors. That's 9 total options. Mm-hmm. So there's different ways you could do that. There's 3 ways you could do it, or 4 ways, I guess. You could do 9 completely separate listings, one for every one of those unique options. You could do 1 listing for each size. So you, like, when you click on the wine size, the Pinot size, on that size there would be 3 different color options. Or you could do it the other way around, where like it's a blue one, and then the blue one has 3 different size options. For me, the way that I would set it up would be I would have the size as the listing and the colors as the variations.
Okay.
And I would make each size its own listing because I think that it's a different product going after different keywords. So, I mean, people that are searching for wine are going to be searching for that in their search, and for people that are looking for champagne are going to be looking for that in their search. And I would want that to be a separate listing for those reasons.
And when it's a separate listing, you said, though, they can, if you had, like you said, 50 champagne sold and 50 wines, does that hurt you a little bit then on Amazon versus 100 of one?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be in a position where you could sell 100 of one, but like in the situation you're talking about here, I don't think that like really like cannibalizes you, because again, people are going to be searching for champagne ice bucket and they're looking for something to put their champagne bottle in, like a big bottle of champagne. And I think that's more important to be able to capture those searches. And if you have them listed separately, like you can even, if it's a situation where both of them, if they do a search for something where both things can show up, then you can actually get two different listings to show up in the results. But if you have one listing with like all 9 variations on the same listing, you'll only be able to get one result out of all of that. So that's the reason why I would set it up with the wine size as one listing with 3 variations, a champagne size is a different listing with a different variation. Makes sense.
Yeah. Do you have any other ideas on low-hanging fruit at all?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, I try not to give too, like, I think I've already given you like probably like more than enough. Like, yeah. I worry about just like overloading people. I give the same thing to a lot of people. Just what ends up happening is you listen to podcasts like this, and there's other ones out there, and you hear about us doing all these like neat new fangled things or whatever, without the context of the fact that we're a mid 7-figure company that's also being sure to diversify and trying to grow it to 200% per year. I mean, we have different objectives and we're in a different place. When we were a $50,000 company, we weren't doing all these things. So you got to just kind of keep that stuff in mind, not to get influenced by keeping up with the Joneses or hearing about these awesome techniques. I mean, the reason we've had to switch to doing some of these awesome techniques in some cases is that we've already exhausted everything we could possibly do with Amazon, let's say, for instance, or our Amazon business grows to a point where, and we're going to do about 3.5 to 4 million this year on Amazon, probably closer to 4 actually. Just the last month has been crazy. So we're going to do about 4 million on Amazon. To me, that's something I have to diversify. Like, I can't let my business be 100% Amazon with all $4 million because, like, if something happens to that channel, I'm completely screwed and out of business. So at some point, like, I need to diversify, and we'll do about 6 million total this year. So 2/3 Amazon, 1/3 off Amazon, and I'm okay with that kind of balance. But if I had a $50,000 business, there's no reason to diversify off Amazon at that point. It's the easiest sales and the highest profit that there is. Like, why diversify? Like, when it gets to a point where you start feeling like, well, your own personal comfort level that like all your eggs are in one basket and you need to start diversifying, then it makes sense. So the whole point is just to kind of put things in perspective to like where you're at and be comfortable like with where you're at and what makes sense that's going to move the needle for you and like make this like a full-time thing and or change your lifestyle in a way that is significant and not have you rely only on wholesale and can get your B2C business moving. Like, what is that for you, and what's going to do that without worrying about the Mike Jacknesses of the world that are doing some of these more sophisticated things, because we have a whole nother reason for doing it, and we also have 15 people here that can help us with that.
Yeah, and I believe that is the hardest part. I do listen to a lot of podcasts, yours and others, and you get caught up with 400 ideas, and then you find yourself a month later and you haven't accomplished one of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I just prefer not to throw more things your way. I just, from looking at the thing here, I really do feel that the 3 big things that we talked about can really do it for you. And just don't worry about the other interference that you hear out there. At some point, it will be relevant to you. Like, hopefully you'll get to a point where you have $1 million business here, and then it's relevant. Then it's like, oh God, like I need to, like I just did $1 million this year on Amazon, and like I need to protect myself and like start growing my off Amazon business a little bit, just in case like Amazon like throws the boom hammer down. I got like all this inventory in stock that and employees, because that's another thing. Like, I mean, I have to worry about people as well, and it's not just the money part of it by any stretch of imagination for me. And I need to make sure that if Amazon closes our account, that we lay off as few people as possible, hopefully 0. Like, how do I position myself to be in that situation? Whereas if all my business was on Amazon and they shut our account down, like I got to like lay off 15 people and figure out what I'm going to do with the lease that I've signed here. There's a lot of other things to be thinking about. So that's some of the reasons why we've diversified versus when we first got started. I mean, when you have a $50,000 business and you're the only employee, it doesn't very much matter if something bad happens, right?
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for all that, Mike. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Best of luck with everything. Definitely catch up with us in the coming year and let us know how things are going, and look forward to hearing back from you.
Yep, I will certainly be in touch.
Cool. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Mike.
And that's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed this Under the Hood segment with Matt. And if you guys want to be on your very own Under the Hood, just go to ecomcrew.com/underthehood to sign up to be on a future episode today. It's a totally free thing that we do to give back to the community. And in turn, it's one of these rare win-win things where not only does it help you, but it helps the entire community by giving people actionable advice and letting them know that they're not alone in the world of entrepreneurship. So again, go to ecomcrew.com/underthehood to sign up today. Until the next episode, everyone, happy selling, and we'll talk to you then.
Thanks for listening to the EcomCrew podcast. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/EcomCrew for weekly live recordings of the EcomCrew podcast every Monday. And please do us a favor and leave an honest review on iTunes. It would really help us out. Again, thanks for listening. And until next week, happy selling.